So today we will be discussing the psychrometric process of cooling and dehumidification. This process is perhaps the most common process used in air conditioning, particularly in tropical countries like India. So most of the times when you use an air conditioner, you want to reduce the temperature of air, and simultaneously you also want to remove moisture from air. So this process is cooling and dehumidification. And on psychrometric chart, because the temperature is decreasing, it will move on the left hand side and it will slope downwards because the moisture content or the humidity ratio is decreasing. So such a process, the scheme of that is shown here with the help of a schematic diagram, and I have just put a photo of the indoor unit of a split AC, you can say. So this is the coil or the heat exchanger, and these are the tubes. Through these tubes, the chilled water or the refrigerant may flow, and there is a fan provided here which will take the air probably from the room, and it will pass it over this and it will deliver it back into the room. And this process is most likely to be cooling and dehumidification process. That's why I've just shown one of the possible hardwares using which you can achieve cooling and dehumidification. And most of the times, like say in this type of season or for the months to come, April, May, June, July, the process that is undergone by the air when you use your domestic air conditioners, or even when you go to some restaurants or other malls, etc. The process that is done over the air is cooling and dehumidification. So it is shown schematically here, and as an engineer, you might be interested in certain things. For example, you may be able to measure the condition of the inlet air. You may have been prescribed the conditions at the outlet, and you want to know at what rate should I remove the heat from the air. So that's nothing but the capacity of an air conditioner. So such a problem may be posed against you. So you have to get the capacity of the system, based on which you select an air conditioning unit. For example, when you go to buy an air conditioner, the first question that will be asked is what capacity of air conditioner you want, right? They are available in the range of let's say 1 ton of refrigeration, or 1.5 or 2, and so on. So that's the exercise we will be doing now. So you have the inlet conditions of air. The mass flow rate of dry air is shown here, which is remaining constant throughout the system, right? So when it passes through the air conditioning unit, the mass flow rate of dry air is not changing. Then let's say the enthalpy of the air is H1, the humidity ratio is W1, and you can write all other parameters. So H1 and W1, if two parameters are available, the state is defined, or it may be the dry bulb temperature and the relative humidity. So any two parameters are available, and you are able to define and get all other properties, sometimes by iterative procedure. And then it passes over this cooling coil, where, as it is shown, the heat is removed from the system, right? So what is there inside this boundary is your system. The air passing through this is your system. It's an open system, and we'll be assuming the case of steady state condition. So this is the device or the cooling coil, and using this cooling coil, you are removing removing heat from air. Now, because of this heat removal, as it is shown, there is moisture condensation also, right? The water vapor from air gets condensed, a part of it, and takes liquid form, and it is on the surface of the fins or the tubes, and slowly it drains down, and then you take it out, right? So when you see that the water is coming out of your air conditioner unit, this drain line is provided near the outdoor unit. But basically it is coming from the indoor unit. Okay, there is a, as you can see here, there is a pan provided here, where like as the moisture gets condensed, it gets collected in this pan, and then this pan, there is a drain line provided in this, and then it is taken out of the room, and the outlet is generally provided near the outdoor unit. So but the water coming out from your air conditioner is not coming out from the outdoor unit. It is coming out from the indoor unit. It's basically the room moisture which is being removed. So there is condensation. So this Q12 shows the heat removal by the refrigerant, right? Now this refrigerant is considered to be outside your system, right? And it is taking away the heat. So heat is taken away from the system, and that the rate of that is Q12. And finally the air is coming out at the mass flow rate of dry air remains same, and the properties are different now. They have changed. The enthalpy must have been decreased, and because there is dehumidification, the humidity ratio also must have been decreased. The dry bulb temperature would also have decreased. And as you can see here, there is some rate at which water is also coming out from the system, right? Because you are condensing the water vapor, it takes liquid form and it comes out of the system. So the mass of water is also crossing the boundary of the system, the mass of water, and along with that this water has some enthalpy also. So even that is going out of the system. So for this system or control volume, you can write the energy balance and mass balance equation or moisture balance equation. So moisture balance equation, the second one is the moisture balance equation here. M dot dA W1 is equal to M dot dA W2 plus M dot W, right? So when it enters, the moisture content is higher, and you are removing water or condensate at some rate from the system, and finally the moisture content in the outgoing stream is M dot dA into W2. Okay, so that's the moisture balance equation or water balance equation. And the second one, the first one is the energy balance or enthalpy balance. So when it is entering into the system, the moist air is entering into the system, the energy carried by it, or the heat carried by it, is M dot dA H1. Now what happens is that this refrigerant, or it may be chilled water or low temperature water, which is taking away heat from the air. So that is Q12, right? And also the heat is going out along with the water, M dot W HW2. Now mind well, this HW2, when it is coming out of the system, it's only liquid water. It's only liquid water. So this enthalpy HW2 is that of liquid water at the given temperature, and it's not the water vapor enthalpy. So to be very careful about this, it's the liquid water which is coming out of the system. The conversion from vapor to liquid happens inside the system, and that is included in this heat removal, right? So this Q12 takes care of sensible cooling as well as latent cooling, right? But only the mass which is leaving the system, it carries some enthalpy, mass of water, and that you have to accommodate here. And finally, the air coming out of the system is M dot dA H2. It's having this much energy or heat. So with the help of these balance equations, you should be able to solve the given problem. And there are certain formula which are already familiar to you now. how to get the specific volume at a given point. You need to know the temperature and you need to know the humidity ratio. And if relative humidity is given, this is the formula how you get the water vapor pressure, and W is the humidity ratio. And you can, if you have PW available, you can get it, then you can, with the help of this formula, you can get the humidity ratio. So with this information, let us solve one example. And this example is, you can read the data for the example. Moist air at 30 degrees Celsius dry bulb temperature and 50% RH enters a cooling coil at 5 meter cube per second and is processed to a final saturation condition at 10 degree Celsius. Find the kilowatt of refrigeration required. So the moist air at 30 degrees Celsius dry bulb temperature and 50% RH enters a cooling coil. Now this may be the return air from the room. Probably you might recall the experiment done on the air conditioning unit, room air conditioner, and the conditions of the room air, which is going towards the cooling coil, and there the enthalpy of the air is reduced and then it is delivered back into the room. So just to make you recall that, I have put these photos here. So as you could see, at that time the return air condition was 27 degrees Celsius and around 39% relative humidity. So that's the condition of the air in the room, which is the entry condition for the cooling coil. And after that it is processed in the coil. And what is the condition that is at the outlet of the coil? It was around 15 degrees Celsius and 66% RH. Now here also you could see that the dew point temperature at the inlet condition is higher and the dew point temperature at the outlet condition was lower. It means that moisture has been removed. So something similar is happening here. Conditions are a bit different. It is a bit higher temperature, 30 degrees Celsius and 50% RH. And the flow rate, it enters the cooling coil at this volume flow rate, right? And you might have to get the mass flow rate from this volume flow rate, and is processed to a what is the final delivery temperature or the supply temperature when it comes out of the cooling coil. Now here it seems that it has been assumed that the effectiveness of this coil is 100%. So the apparatus dew point or the surface temperature of this coil may be 10 degrees Celsius, and the air is coming out at the same temperature, saturated. So here in this reading you had relative humidity 66%, right, which is higher, but it's not 100%. So this is the actual condition that one gets. It is never going to be in equilibrium with the surface temperature of the coil. But if the coil is very, it has higher effectiveness, you may be able to reach near the surface temperature of the coil, which is also called the apparatus dew point temperature. So here actually the condition 2 may be the apparatus dew point temperature, which is 10 degrees Celsius, which is apparatus dew point temperature is nothing but the surface temperature of the cooling coil. And this temperature is 10 degrees Celsius here, and the air is coming out at the equilibrium condition. So it is also coming out at 10 degrees Celsius, perfectly like the contact factor is 100%, bypass factor is equal to 0%, and it's coming out at 10 degrees Celsius saturated, so 100% RH. Now for this case you have to get the kilowatt of refrigeration required. So it's nothing but the capacity of this cooling coil, at what rate should it remove the remove the heat from the air. That is what is to be calculated. So these energy balance and the mass balance equations should help you to get this. So let's say you want to get the this water balance or the water or the moisture balance. So you need to get W1, the humidity ratio when it enters into the system, and you need to get W2. Okay, so let's try and get those things. Now, how much would be W1? How you can get W1? The dry bulb temperature and RH are given. So as shown in the previous slide, the based on the dry bulb temperature, you can get PWS, the water vapor pressure at saturation, right? That you can get from the saturated properties of water. Right? So at 30 degrees Celsius, what is the water vapor pressure, the saturation pressure? So let's try and get that number from the saturation properties of water. 30 degree Celsius, as you can read at the bottom, the pressure, saturation pressure would be 4.2467. So that's PWS, and PW would be 50% of that, right? PW would be 50%, 0.5 into PWS. So that's how you get PW, and then using PW you can get the value of W. You can get the humidity ratio 0.621945 PW. So whatever PW you get, 50% of PWS, and P minus PW. So what is P? It is the total pressure. So total pressure, unless it is given, you can take it 101.325 kilopascal. So using these values, you get the value of W. Okay, the humidity ratio at the inlet can be found like this. So you got W1. Now what about W2? It is much easier to get W2 because it is given that at the outlet it is 10 degrees Celsius saturated. 10 degrees Celsius saturated. So you can directly get it from the psychrometric tables. It is nothing but WS at 10 degree Celsius. So WS at 10 degrees Celsius, this is 10, and WS is first column 0.007663. So 7.663 grams of water per kilogram of dry air would be the value of W2 because it is saturation condition at the outlet of the coil. So you can read those things here. So this W1 should be 13.3. So you try and get it as per the procedure explained. So you should get this number 13.3 grams of water per kilogram of dry air. But in this formula, it is to be put in kilogram of water per kilogram of dry air. 7.66 is the grams of water that's at the outlet condition, right? And what you want to get is Q12. So this formula has been written in the form of Q12. So Q12 would be equal to m dot dA H1 minus H2, okay, minus m dot W HW2, right? So that it's arranged that way here. So the first term is m dot dA into H1 minus H2. So you want to get H1 now. So how much is the value of H1? How do you get value of H1? H1 you can get if you know the dry bulb temperature and W, right? So for the state 1, the dry bulb temperature is 70 degrees Celsius, sorry, 30 degrees Celsius. So you can put that number here, 30, and W is already known, 13.33. Right, that's the number that you have already written here, 13.3. So that number can be written, and so that value, and 2501 the latent heat of vaporization at 0 degrees Celsius for water, and 1.86 the average specific heat of water vapor, and T is again 30 degrees Celsius the dry bulb temperature. So this is how you get the value of H1. Now getting the value of H2, again it is simpler to get the value of H2. It is simpler to get the value of H2. It is nothing but HS at 10 degree Celsius, and you can get it from the psychrometric tables. So what is the temperature is 10 degrees Celsius, and you can refer to this row, and at this column is for HS, so it's 29.354 kilojoule per kilogram of dry air. So that's the value of H2. That's the value of H2. So you can see in the next slide here, this is 29.55, the value of H2, right? 29.5, the value of H2. Here what you got is 29.354, right? So the value that they have put is an approximate value. If you want to be more accurate, you can put the value from the psychrometric tables. Right? The things might be done with directly with the help of psychrometric chart also, but then it will not be as accurate, right? What you may do on the psychrometric chart is, let me show you that. Like, you know, the initial condition. So the initial condition is 30 degrees Celsius and 50% RH. So you put your 0.1 there, right? So 0.1 would be, this should be at 30 degrees Celsius and 50% RH. So this is your 0.1, right? At the inlet to the coil, this is the condition, and then you are starting with that condition, and what is the final condition? It is 10 degrees Celsius saturated. So it is 10 degrees Celsius saturated. So it is this point, right? So 0.2 is here, 10 degrees Celsius saturated. So once you have located the points, you can read all the properties and you can directly solve it from the psychrometric chart also, but the process in that is not as accurate. So if you are asked to solve it with the help of psychrometric tables and formula, you should do it with the help of the formula and the chart, right? And if your goal is to get a quick estimate, and you want to visualize the process, then the psychrometric chart should be used. Okay, so you got the conditions at 0.2, and the enthalpy is 29.5. Initially it was 64.3 at state 1. Now what is this 5.7? This 5.7 is nothing but the mass flow rate of air. Now how do you get this 5.7? What is given is the volume flow rate, 5 meter cube per second. So you have to divide that volume flow rate with the specific volume with the help of the formula that is that was shown in the previous slide, or you are already familiar with this formula. But then which condition will you take? Will you take the condition 1 for T and W, or you will take condition 2? Okay, so for that you may read the example again. So what is written is moist air at 30 degrees Celsius driver temperature and 50% RH enters a cooling coil at this rate. It means that it is the condition or the flow rate of this, the written air condition, this one. So you should refer to the condition for 1. So when you get the specific volume, you should get it for the 30 degrees Celsius condition. So you put this 30 and you have already found W1. So you put your W1 here and total pressure is 101.325. With the help of this, you should get the specific volume. Once you get the specific volume, you divide your volume flow rate 5 by specific volume, which will be less than 1. And because of that, the mass flow rate is coming out to be 5.7 kilogram of dry air per second. That's the volume flow rate, right? So m dot dA in this equation, and this is change of enthalpy. Now the second term is this m dot W into HW2, right? So this is nothing but delta W. How do you get m dot W? You get it from the second equation, right? M dot W is nothing but M dot dA into W1 minus W2. You already know W1, W2 and M dot dA. So you should be able to get M dot W, right? Or you directly replace your M dot W here with the help of M dot dA into W1 minus W2. So in that case, the M dot dA would be common, and that's what is done here. So this delta W is multiplied. So this is W1, the first term, the second term is W2, and 42.02 is the enthalpy of liquid water which is coming out. Now, how to get the enthalpy of liquid water? In a way, you can directly get it from Cp into T, that is temperature in degrees Celsius, and you know the Cp, the specific heat, the average value, and that is somewhere around 4.2. Many times you take it 4.187, right? So roughly it is 4.2. Or if you want to be more accurate, you can get it from the saturated properties of water also, because the properties or enthalpy of subcooled liquid and the saturated liquid depends mainly upon the temperature. So at 10 degrees Celsius, you can just refer to the value of HF. At 10 degrees Celsius for the saturated properties of water to this 10. So what is the value of HF? It is 42.02, right? 42.02. So that's what has been used. So enthalpy of liquid water, which depends for the subcooled liquid and for the saturated liquid, depends upon the temperature. So it should be equal to 42.02 at state 2, not at state 2, but that of the liquid water, right, which is coming out of the system. So it's 42.02. So that is what is put here. It is the enthalpy of the water which is coming out from here. So with the help of this, you get the capacity or the required cooling rate or refrigeration rate, which comes out to be 197 kilowatt. 197 kilowatt. So 3.52 kilowatt. 3.52 kilowatt is 1 ton of refrigeration, right? So you can divide this number with 3.52 and you get the tons of refrigeration. So this process. So this is an important example from point of view of application also. That is, most of the times the application that you have for air conditioning is cooling and dehumidification. So this gives you procedure and understanding about this process, and you can apply this process when you come across this type of problem, which is the most common problem.